When Mkhwanazi says in portfolio that my issue against his friend Khumalo is an HR issue, understand he makes this allegation as if he's seen the docket. Remember, the docket is classified. By his own admission, he doesn't have top security clearance. Flats for a fraction of the resources. We are fighting to have that resources that is spent on the PKTT, to have that money diverted to the Cape Flats so our kids also have a chance to live. You don't hear the General speak about that.
Don't you think the process of expanding it into the Western Cape is online? Because at the moment they've just launched the Gauteng PKTT.
Again, they've launched the Gauteng PKTT. They still have not resourced the AGU. How much longer must my people suffer? How much longer must the children die over here? SAPS itself released 27,000 guns into the Cape Flats. What has it done about it? Have they given us extra policemen? Have they given us extra intelligence? No, they've resourced the PKTT. Colored lives don't matter to these people. This is my fight. Let Mkhwanazi come. He can bring his insults, he can bring his fists. I'm going nowhere. I will stand my ground on this issue, even if it's the most popular man in the country.
Thank you so much.
What people don't know is that General Mkhwanazi is untouchable, not because he's too strong, but because he stands for the truth, and if you try to fight him, that's the day you'll go down. If you doubt me, you can ask Fadiel Adams. Fadiel Adams has just been suspended from Parliament. This is the same man who vowed to expose General Mkhwanazi. He vowed to end his career simply because General Mkhwanazi exposed corruption and a secret cabal running the SAPS. And he was affected because he was a major beneficiary of that corrupt system. He tried fighting General Mkhwanazi, but all his efforts were futile, so he turned toward General Mkhwanazi's allies instead. He framed General Fannie Masemola and General Khumalo just to get to General Mkhwanazi, but everything has now backfired, and in the process, he got suspended from Parliament. Dear South Africans, in this video, we're going to expose the very Madlanga hearing that got Fadiel Adams into trouble. Please do us a favor. Like this video, share it with everyone, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Type in the comments, "Jail Fadiel Adams now," if you believe this criminal should be in jail. Jabulani, roll the clip.
How is it that we're talking about the lie, the alleged lie that Minister Nkunu told the police portfolio regarding his relationship with Brown? But the National Commissioner could lie about the brigadier that they brought from BMW. How is this okay? Why are we targeting certain people as Parliament? We are eulogizing General Mkhwanazi. I, as the complainant in the charges against those 7 generals, when this portfolio called me a madman before they were arrested, I, as the complainant, am connecting the dots. That staged press conference with a general who now seeks additional protection, who had what looked like an armed militia behind him, it was a threat to this country. Let us call it what it is. He was trying to incite policemen to take action in the event of whatever it is that he knew was coming. Let me tell this committee what I suspect was coming. As the accounting officer for the South African Police Services, I suspect that the National Commissioner himself is up for arrest. And that press conference was nothing more than a preemptive move. And the country appears to have fallen for it. General Mkhwanazi must appear before this committee. The National Commissioner must appear before this committee. The IDAC must appear before this committee. General Khumalo, General Untouchable must come and sit in front of this committee. And I want to appeal and actually ask that we make it a recommendation that every member of this committee that has ever met with any law enforcement or investigative body or given them a statement or had a conversation must come clean and tell us what he said. I will be the first. I know Honorable James has had that conversation. I have a suspicion there are a few more other people that are hiding things within this committee. Now, in order to clean out the service, we must all be honest. We can't demand accountability from the boys in blue and hide things right here.
The National Coloured Congress, and he joins us now. Fadiel Adams, thanks so much for your time. Talk to us about your interest in this particular case.
Very interested in this case. I've been humiliated, I've been laughed at, I've been insulted when I demanded that the National Commissioner must be charged. People told me I was mad. Today the National Commission is in court 6 months later. But take your mind just a little bit further back. I warned them in that police portfolio, that useless police portfolio. I warned them that very soon the South African police services will not have any management left. By my count, we're on about 30 seniors that are appearing before court. And trust me when I tell you, there's dozens more to come. I don't know how the court system is going to cope with this process, and I certainly don't know how the South African police service is going to cope without management. But from where we stand, the shenanigans that have been happening within the SAPS, the cover-ups, the murders, the fraud, the theft, the looting, it appears to be coming to an end. The National Commissioner, in our view, should have been arrested months ago until a famous general called a press conference to stop it, to subvert it. Let's see what they do this time. I said it before and I stand by it. The South African police services is run by crooks wearing 3 and 4 stars.
So why do you believe that the National Commissioner should be arrested, one, and charged? And what do you believe should happen ultimately down the line? Because he's here on charges related to the Public Finance Management Act, not corruption per se. So what's your take on that, and what do you believe should happen?
I'm keen to hear what the charges are inside, because I can tell you this, he's the accounting officer of the SAPS. He was warned that Vusikat Matlala was getting this tender. He did nothing. He stood by and watched as the payments were made. He's the accounting officer for the SAPS. He was also the accounting officer at the time when they bought those boutique hotels. I said it then. There's no way that his hands are clean. Now, everything before the court, it's nothing but allegation. A judge will rule, not Fadiel Adams. But I'm telling you today that the South African police services is rotten from the head down. We're quick to throw stones at constables. But you know where the looting is happening? Right on top. Now understand that before the court stands a certain General Khumalo. But he's got the nerve to say 90% of Gauteng SAPS is corrupt. Look at the hypocrisy of it all. And this nation swallows it up as they say it. You see, we must never forget, or we must remember rather, that you really can't split Masemola, Mkhwanazi and Khumalo. You can't. Forget about it. So I'm very keen to see the KZN Provincial Commissioner here at court today, because he did say to this nation that there can never be peace between a police officer and a criminal.
Feet of clay. This arrest must happen. I've told Patricia Mashali she can confirm it. Not all of us will survive this. Many of us will die. I, for one, am prepared to die. For this cause, for the cleanup of the South African police service, for the eradication of the criminals, I am prepared to die. Now let me give you an idea. No, I'm gonna repeat it, but I'm just letting you know what's, just so that you're not caught cold.
Sure.
So on Saturday morning at 4 o'clock, the PKTT hits the house where I used to live. They assault a 12-year-old boy. They point firearms in to the face of a woman that opened the door. They park their cars 100 meters away around the corner because they don't want the registrations taken. They refuse to identify themselves. They refuse to produce a warrant because they're looking for Fadiel Adams. Okay. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Now throw your mind back to the Ad Hoc Committee where Mkhwanazi promises the committee that there's going to be a conference call later where someone's going to tell you something about Adams. That someone is Sergeant Carlton Thomas, who Mkhwanazi them set up in front of cameras and threatened to make an incriminating statement about me and my Metro Police escort that I used to Westville Prison. The sergeant refused. He subsequently laid a charge of intimidation against Mkhwanazi and Gopal. Just so that you know where we are. So, there's an email there where Mkhwanazi now confirms this morning at 8:01 that there is indeed a arrest warrant out for me in KZN. But if you look at the very top of the first page of the email, you'll see that he tried to recall the email. Because Mkhwanazi is trying to cover his ass. So that's it. I'm just waiting on a statement from the sergeant. Just print 3 or 4 copies, we can give it to him later as well, man. They can share it amongst themselves for now. Just so we can get going. It is Sunday morning after all. And white people also have two sisters now. I love you.
Paragraph 74. On the 19th of December 2024, the team was scheduled to meet with Mr. Adams. However, Mr. Perumal stated that there was a miscommunication and Mr. Adams was at Sun City Resort. I refused to travel to consult at that venue. Arrangements were then made to meet in Cape Town on the 6th of January 2025. In the meantime, on the same day, Mr. Perumal Rapesu and I met at a spur in Midrand Halfway Gardens regarding the confidential documents that Mr. Adams alleges was pushed under his door. Mr. Perumal was to provide me with the documents to peruse. First, the documents related to crime intelligence. If it were up to me, and I did say so during the consultation with Mr. Adams, I wanted to charge him. I also wanted an explanation from him as to what did he do with the documents.
This is now in January, not...
Yeah, sorry, Afghan.
You're moving ahead.
I am. First, the documents related to crime intelligence. If it were up to me, I would have considered charging Mr. Adams for possession of these documents. In the bundle of documents were 74.1, receipts of a forklift in respect of which payment has been made, a copy of the internal vetting report of Major General Mudondo. This was particularly concerning to me, and I voiced this discomfort. May I explain why? A vetting document, I think most of us here would know, contains your address, your ID numbers, the ID numbers of your kids, your spouse, your banking detail, and this document is the school that your kids go is now slotted under someone's door and they are in possession of it. It was very concerning, the amount of information that it had.
In its entirety, it's a report of Lieutenant General Jacobs, as I'd indicated, dated the 30th of July 2025, and you were able to establish that attached to that report are a series of annexures that he references in his report. So, in working through this annexure, MK15, I will jump to specific documents for purposes of my timeline. You remember we're still trying to establish the timeline, and I do apologize that we're only starting to do so now. Please bear in mind the affidavit you submitted in the morning, CJC 383, so that if I skip any particular event in my timeline, we can pick it up from your affidavit. The one that you submitted this morning.
Mike, please.
Your microphones.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes. So the one you submitted this morning, and for the record, we marked it, we give each a specific marking, exhibit number. So it's CJC 383. So I'm saying as I work through my timeline based on the documentation I had, if there is a specific date that I miss somehow, and it's contained in your affidavit, please feel free to refer me there, and I shall include it in the timeline.
Your anchor affidavit, as you called it.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So now, you recall we referenced, I think, paragraph 1 of Mr. Adams's Section 27 affidavit to know that he said he opened the dockets in Cape Town in October.
That's correct.
Now, as you saw in this annexure MK15, there are cover pages of those dockets, and I would like to refer to the first. The first is at page 303, in that same pack, MK15, and that it's got a case number. What's important for my purposes there is the date on which it's opened. And that should read, it reads on my copy 20/24/10/29 at 1430, I think. You confirm that?
I confirm.
So that's my first date. I've confirmed that the first docket in Cape Town was, or at least that one of the dockets in Cape Town was opened on the 29th of October at 2:30. I then have the next one, which would be at page 305. And That too bears the date of 29th of October 2024 and inserted a timestamp of 14:30.
I confirm.
The third then would be at page 308. And that once again is 2024 October 29 at 14:30.
I confirm.
So now we know our Cape Town dockets were opened on the 29th. I then tried to understand the next date. The next date would be when Mr. Adams, as he indicates in his affidavit, came to Gauteng to open what now we call the Orlando dockets. Unfortunately, I don't have those dockets. I can't put a definitive date on which that happened. Do you, by any chance, have those dates in your docket? Do you recall having them at all? Do you recall having the docket covers of the Orlando cases so
Yes.
that we can determine the date?
Yes, if council can bear with me, I can just check quickly.
Okay, if it's not too far, because otherwise we could park it and go to the next date. Because the next date I deal with takes into consideration the Orlando docket. So we know it will be between the 30th of October and this next date I'm going to deal with. Then during lunch we will check for the actual dates.
No problem.
I'm trying to save time because we've lost quite a bit. Okay, then the next date I have, we're still with MK15. We start at page 281. These are a series of emails that run until page 284. These have nothing to do with you. If you've never had sight of them, it's accepted. I don't expect you to comment about them, but you remember we're just trying to establish the timeline of different events. Now, if we, and we know with emails, we start from the last and work our way backwards. That's how they come out when they are printed. So our first email starts at page 283. At the bottom of 283, it's an email from somebody. It's addressed to Minister Mkhwanazi. It's dated 1st of November 2024 at 8:21 in the morning.
Correct, Chair.
And if you flip over to page 284, it is from Honorable Fadiel Adams. Now, that email reads thus. I have opened to Minister of Police. I have opened cases in the Western Cape on a number of senior SAPS personnel as per following case dockets as per Grand Central. Then he provides them. Second point, I was told that the dockets were intercepted. In my quest for justice, I traveled to Gauteng and opened following dockets as per Orlando SAPS. Then he provides a detail. The detail provided there, we can tell from the cast numbers that they too in Orlando were opened in October. You confirm that?
I confirm.
Then he continues, however, I've also been notified that the Gauteng Police Department has followed the same modus operandi as the Western Cape PC and is interfering in the investigative process. I apologize. I urgently and humbly ask the Minister to intervene and ensure the integrity of the investigative process is maintained to ensure a fair and just outcome. So that's our next date. First is the 29th of October, when they are opened in Cape Town. The next is that date yet to be determined in October, when they are opened in Orlando. And the 1st of November is a complaint to the Minister regarding interference or interception of both sets of dockets. Now, if you stay on page 283, the email above is now an email from Nkabinde CM. When General Mkhwanazi testified, he advised that Nkabinde CM is the Chief of Staff in the Minister's office. And you see that is dated 1 November 2024, 0904. And that is addressed to Major General Sibula and Brigadier Litoko. Subject line is charges laid by NCC. And Mr. Nkabinde writes as follows. I read the body of the email, second paragraph. The ministry has received this complaint from the Member of Parliament. In order for the ministry to respond accordingly, please furnish this office with a report in responding to this complaint and the details of the investigating officer who was assigned to investigate these cases. Your report is expected on Monday, 4th November 2024 at 1500 hours. So the Office of the Minister immediately acts upon this and directs the complaint to be dealt with and directs that complaint to Major General Sibula and Litoko. We need not concern ourselves about who they are, but that's what the email tells us. Then if we go back to page 282, at the bottom is now an email from somebody within SAPS. It's dated still the 1st of November 2024 at 11:45. And it is addressed to complaints nodal point, copying the Divisional Commissioner Inspectorate and a few others. And in this particular communication overleaf, before we go overleaf, at the bottom of 282, this person informs, kindly see the email below for your urgent attention, and important, feedback must reach the Office of the National Commissioner on Monday, 1200, and report to the Office of the Minister by Monday, the 4th November 2024 at 1500. Then still staying at page 282, at the top, it's now 11:59, about 12. This is from the National Inspectorate to a few other people, and it reads, please find email from Lieutenant Colonel Setati for urgent attention as directed by the National Commissioner. After receiving the email, it was followed by a call to humbly request for feedback to be submitted on or before 1200 on Monday, 4th of November 2024. You see that? Then lastly, at page 281, it's an email from one of the recipients of the previous email I just dealt with, addressed to other members of SAPS, and it would appear in particular to Colonel Van Rooyen, and reads, please ensure that this is urgently registered into N16 of 2017 VS2. Don't have to worry ourselves about that. Further down it reads, please take note and deal with this immediately. Engage the province directly, please. Also note the deadline set for Monday, 4th of November. So our next date is this flurry of activity on the 1st of November, triggered by Honorable Adams's complaint to the minister at 8 in the morning. So by 1 o'clock, I will then, it then records that it is being acted upon, and eventually by the, I don't know if it's appropriate to call them the complaints nodal, but the point where it was referred to as a complaint and with an urgent request to deal with, to enable the original person to whom the complaint was addressed from the minister's office to respond to the minister by the 4th of November.
A detail,
yes.
just in case it becomes relevant, is also to note that the 1st of November, according to these messages, was a Friday.
Yes, I confirm it was a Friday.
And this activity was supposed to be reported on the Monday.
On Monday. And in fact, that is confirmed in the email at page 282 from Lieutenant Colonel Bapela, who specifically requests that the report be provided by 1200 on Monday, 4th of November. So that should take care of that. Thank you so much. So the next day then, I have nothing between the 1st of November being a weekend and the 4th. My next date would be the 4th of November. We've established that's the due date for the report. Then the 4th of November, if we stay with that, an extra MK 15, we go to page 285. And it starts at 285, this particular document, but if we jump to 287, we'll see that it is a report by Major General, Acting Divisional Commissioner, Inspectorate, N.M. Dada, dated 4th of November 2024. It's a 3-page document, and then if we go back then to page 285, where it starts, it's an information note directed to the minister. It provides a purpose, the background, the background is as we have discussed. We know the opening of the 2 sets of dockets. Then there is a discussion, and then it deals with the nature of the complaints in the dockets. Now, if we stay at page 286, it states that at 3.1.1, the criminal allegations in the 6 cases which were opened are leveled against Generals Khumalo, Lushaba, Madondo, and Brigadier Ncube, and are centered on 4 specific matters, namely abuse of secret service account 1, 2, cover-up of criminal incident linked to Valeria cast number, it's provided, and there's a note that the docket is locked in a safe at the police station and access thereto will only be available from 11 November 24. Third, failure to address Major General Madondo's results of the polygraph examination, wherein 2 incidents of tax evasion were uncovered. And lastly, practices of nepotism. So that's his summary, the author's summary of the contents of those dockets. The most important is at 287 for purposes of a timeline. And at the top, under 4, recommendation, and at 4.1, it reads, this office recommends that an extension of 10 working days is provided in order for the following to be conducted, whereafter a comprehensive report can be provided. 1, interview the complainant and obtain a detailed affidavit. 2, perusal of all criminal dockets, including Valeria cast number provided. 3, determine if any other government department is investigating the same allegations. So this is submitted on the 4th of November to the minister. If you turn, then it's submitted by Major General Dada, and still at 287, you'll see that it's counted.
Looks like, just for accuracy, it's the 5th, not the 4th. It's submitted on the 5th of November. You see that because General Sibia signs it on the 5th on 287, bottom of that page.
Yes, Commissioner, I was saying it's signed on the 4th.
Yes.
So Major General
on the 5th.
Dada on the 4th,
yes,
dates it. He's the author of this document.
Yes.
Then the second signature I was going to go to is the signature at the bottom, yes, of the same page. And I say it seems to have gone to General Sibia, yes, who signs it on the 5th of November 2025, yes, with no comments. And then the third signature is once again overleaf at page 288. And that appears to be the signature of the Minister of Police, E.S. Mkhunu, MP, and it's dated 8 November 2024.
Advocacy law, my point was that the Minister's office appears to get this report on the 5th. And we see that from the date stamp on page 285.
I'm with you. Thank you, Commissioner.
So they missed that 4 November deadline by a day.
Indeed.
And then on the 5th, the stamp suggests that's when the Minister's office received it.
I misunderstood you. I thought it was the date on which Major General Nhlanhla signed, so I was reading the 4th. I completely agree with you. It would appear then that after General Sibia had signed, it then presumably got to the Minister's office where it bears the receipt stamp of 5th November 2024. and then the minister's final stamp, final signature at page 288 on the 8th of November 2024. Now, where the minister signs, there is a space for comments, but he doesn't seem to have made any comments. Now, whether or not the minister granted the request of an extension, I don't know. I can't tell from this batch of documents. So I then look for my next date. And my next date would be the 11th of November. But that one now I find in a different document, and it's the second annexure that you were supposed to have been given, together with MK15, but unfortunately we're not. It's MK16 in General Mkhwanazi's annexure bundles. And that MK16 is a 2-page document, mercifully. And it's the other document you had opportunity to consider. Now, this document at